What's cooking, Juventus fans? Welcome back to your old lady's favorite YouTube channel. Today we've got a lot to talk about. A lot of this is focused on looking to England, looking to some potential players that could come there to Juventus from England. And of course, we're focusing in on the big story of the day, Chelsea, the situation there, potentially Giorginio, as well as some other players that will come in the mercato that we're going to have coming up here in the few months. But how will this be affected by the ongoing situation in the global climate? Stick with us. We'll fill you in. Ciao ragazzi, welcome back to the Bianconeri Zone. My name is Justin Sofro. Today it is Thursday, March 10th, 2022, and of course I have your latest rundown of all things Juventus, all the news that you care about each and every day to get you in and out and about your day. Before we do that though, go ahead and please smash that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and also hit that bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest videos. Now let's just jump into it, alright? And the very first news story of the day that I teased in the intro there was talking about, of course, Jorginho. Gazzetta dello Sport is saying that Jorginho is now a possible market opportunity, given the fact that his contract expires in 15 months. Not only that, after 4 years in London, he'd be ready to return to Italy, and the relatively low salary of 6 million euros would be a favorable negotiation. So obviously that would be positive for Juventus, who maybe, when you look at Cherubini, when you look at Arriva Mane, these are... I guess the managers that are really trying to lower the overall wage, bill wage for Juventus. When you look at some of these players that they got, Dusan Vlahovic, paying him, they're not really breaking the bank compared to a guy like Ronaldo that they had in the past. So he is an interesting prospect. Of course, we talked about it yesterday on the debate show. If you haven't seen it already, go back and check that out. I thought it was a pretty good show. The three of us hanging out. You actually had the full Bianconeri Zone together once again. I would say this. One of the things that intrigues me, though, is what way does Juventus want to go? You're looking at, this would be the spot that would be taken by your big splash in the midfield. You're looking at Jorginho now. You got Zaniolo, who's been rumored there for a while. Pogba, of course, won't go away. And when I say that won't go away, but I mean his name has been floated out for years, ever since he left about a return, right? And then, of course, Milinkovic-Savic. Milinkovic-Savic is the one that I think is the least likely just because of the situation with Lotito there at Lazio. It didn't seem like they're going to want to sell him. Plus, he's got it'd probably be valued around 80 million euros. That's going to be a big payday. Yeah, he's probably, when it comes to health and when it comes to the younger age players, he's probably a better option. But is Juventus really going to spend that right now? I don't know. I am less believing that. Though we can go on and look at Zaniolo and his health issues. He's younger. Giorginio and him would be the ones that'd be interesting to look at. Pogba's a whole nother animal because you're going to end up playing. You're going to end up not paying, obviously, a transfer fee, but then you'd have to pay his wages, which could be basically double what Giorginio is making there. So it depends what you really want. Pick your poison. But before we really get too much into that, the main thing we need to talk about, though, is the next story. And that's, of course, revolving around Chelsea. And that's Gazzetta dello Sport, which is saying that Chelsea's future is uncertain at the moment. For that reason, players are thinking about a move. Juve are following Jorginho and Rudiger, two profiles that have long been of interest to the club. Also Pulisic, Ziyech, who could be alternatives to Zaniolo. Now, obviously, while being sensitive to international matters that are very, very important and very, very, they're dire, right? To be honest, obviously the owner of Chelsea is a Russian. I forget his name. I apologize for that. But as it stands right now, if you know anything about what's going on the international stage, basically all the sanctions that are going on against Russia, Russian people, and their current dilemma, I guess, right now, it's thrown an issue there because not only is it forcing him potentially out, but now it looks like they're potentially freezing anything that he could do, which means he could not sell the club to anybody. He has to retain the club, and that's really going to put Chelsea in some dire straits. With some of the sanctions that are going on him as an owner, they're also not allowed to sell or buy players. I don't even know. Maybe they can renew them at the time. I don't know about that right now, but it stands right now. So that would throw a wrench in the idea of bringing Jorginho to Juventus if they can't even sell him. I think overall these sanctions or these, whatever you want to call it, rules that are being put on the ownership of Chelsea right now, I think they're going to go away. I think at some point they're sanctioning the individual, not the club, right? You can't hurt the club for something the club is not guilty of doing. And not saying that he is, but just by affiliation of his citizenship. That's why he's being, put these sanctions and these issues on him, unfortunately, for him in this matter, in this situation, regardless of how you feel about it. But then at the same time, when you can't sell the players, you can't do all that. Juve can't do any deals with them. Pulisic, obviously, Inter, if they were trying to go get Lukaku back, that can't happen right now until the situation gets cleared up. Does it get cleared up? I think it does. I think at some point, parties will sit down and they'll figure out how to make this not about the club and not hurt the club long term. I just think Chelsea is much too big of a name and a moneymaker for them really to be crippled like this because of their ownership, right? So we'll see what happens, but as it stands right now, Giorginio would be at a standstill, but at the same time, I think it gets resolved. We'll just say that. Going off the news of what this was reporting, Giorginio would be interesting. Obviously, we talked about Rudiger before. The one that sticks out to me, though, is obviously talking about Pulisic, maybe, or Ziyech coming in as an alternative to Zaniolo. Obviously, that would be an interesting move for Juventus. I know that they've been high on Zaniolo, even with the injuries and all the issues going on there. But if they end up bringing a guy like Pulisic in, that could be interesting, obviously, given Juventus's newfound interest, intrigue, whatever you want to call it, of bringing in American talent, right? I'd be interested to see how they go about that if they try to, bring in Pulisic. Ooh, sorry, this is a little bit off the cuff and it's not on script because I don't have a script. But Pulisic, obviously, they've mended fences, right, with McKennie, with the issue. You know what I'm talking about? Look it up if you don't know what I'm talking about. But that would be interesting, him and McKennie playing side by side at Juventus, how that could turn out. Obviously, you have Americans playing together, but they only play, during the international competitions. If their day in and day out grind is Pulisic and McKennie together, that could be interesting. That could be good drama. That could be good for my channel, or our channel, if I will. That's what I love getting into. Anyway, that's how it stands right now. Let me know your thoughts on the whole situation in Chelsea. Do you like Giorginio? What do you think about Pulisic, Ziyech, and Rudiger as well in the comment section? All right, let's continue on. The next story of the day is Romeo Gresti talking about possible contact by the end of the month for Renato Sanches, which is one of the tracks that the Bianconeri are evaluating to reinforce the midfield. The reasoning revolves around who, from a planning perspective, should play in front of the defense. So reflections and progress of the system of play at Locatelli, Mazzala, etc. Obviously, you're trying to open up Locatelli to play in his most successful role. Here's the problem. When it comes to Renato Sanchez, signing him as the midfield player he would have to be the secondary pick. You'd have to sign another big name. I don't think Juve fans would be happy getting Renato Sanchez. I know I wouldn't, let's be honest. You promise a big splash midfield signing, and that's what we get out of yesterday. We're talking about Milinkovic-Savic. We're talking about Pogba. We're talking about Zaniolo. We're talking about Giorginio. One of those guys, that's a big-time splash. One of those guys. Getting a guy like Renato Sanchez, I don't think that moves the meter for Juventus fans. I don't think that excites people nearly enough. I know there's some people who like him, and I'd be fine with him if he was an addition to something, but he can't be the big splash midfielder. That's not going to do it for Juventus. Anyway, continuing on with that story, though, it looks like Di Marzio is also reporting saying that Milan tried to get Sanchez in January and will try again in the coming weeks. Juventus are also very interested in him because they are looking for a player with those characteristics. It will be a battle between Milan and Juventus. So something to keep an eye on is Renato Sanchez. Is Renato Sanchez going to be a serious name? I don't know what happened right there. But anyway, continue on. We'll follow that story. We'll see if anything continues to develop there. Obviously, it could die down. We'll see. For now, going on, we'll talk about the Dybala situation because we have to talk about the Dybala situation. It's an ongoing... it's a soap opera. That's what it is. It's a soap opera, and we're living it. We're all taking a part in it right now. And the latest update is Corriere dello Sport reporting saying that Dybala's entourage had already been told on the 17th of December that he was free to sign for other teams as the demands were not considered realistic by Juventus. The Argentine is willing to lower his demands. So it's good that he's willing to lower his demands. But how will he come along with this, and how will this thing shake out in the end? Because right now it looks like it's more on Juve's side than it is Dybala's side, which is why we move on to the second part of this, which is Gazzetta dello Sport saying that Dybala and his agent are angry with Juventus. They're saying that there's a cold relationship between Dybala and Juve Today's meeting was canceled due to the club's will. The player and his entourage are starting to look around and evaluate other offers. I talked about this ad nauseum on the channel until I'm blue in the face, right? The whole situation is a kind of a disaster, right? It should be clear cut and clean for a player who has been important to your club for a long time. I understand. I understand the health issues and all that goes along with it. But here's my argument. Who the hell are you going to get to replace him? And when I say that, I understand he's got health issues. I understand he misses games. But when he's out there, he is a top tier player when he's healthy. That's a big win. But also, who's the guy that you're replacing with? I as much as I'm an Italian shill and I like Zaniolo, what does he do? Does he feel like an adequate replacement? Does he feel like he fits that area of the field well enough that you're not regretting the dismissal or the losing out on Dybala's renewal, especially if he ends up going to a team like Inter? I don't think he'll go to Inter, but he could go there. He could go to Barcelona. He has options out there. Who knows what if he gets healthy again? I don't know. I just feel like it's a bad move by Juventus. I understand not wanting to spend all the money on Dybala, but it's unfortunate to see a prominent Juve player who has been thick and thin Juve for the last however many years. It's disappointing to see it potentially going this way. I still lean toward thinking he'll renew, but it's getting rockier and it's getting worse as this continues to develop. And then that's why we go on to the next part of this, which is Mercato Natale reporting. I confirm, as written yesterday by Mirko Kaleme for AS, the contacts between Atletico and Dybala's entourage, but for the moment, nothing concrete. So there's another option for Dybala to potentially go to. It looks like more and more like maybe to the Spanish League, La Liga, that he could go there, especially when you have the likes of Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, and who knows who else might show interest in the coming weeks or months. Or days, really. All right, I'll move on from that topic. You can let me know your feelings on Dybala. It's frustrating, but that's the latest that we have. We'll see what continues and what comes out from Juventus soon. All right, and then La Stampa is reporting saying that Juventus have offered 25 million euros to Ajax for Gravenberch, who has a contract until 2023. And the club is moving to stay ahead of Bayern, who are also very interested. So that's the very first offer information we have regarding Gravenberch. Obviously, a lot of us are big on the player. I like the player. If Juve can get him, that would be a nice pickup, especially in the summer mercato. So we'll see how this plays out, but that's the latest that we have on him. It looks like a potential offer of 25 million euros. All right, let's continue on. The next story of the day. And Tuttosport here is reporting saying that Juve set their sights on Alex Grimaldo to replace Alex Sandro, who I don't know why that made me chuckle. Anyway, who after 7 seasons could leave the club. Cherubini is also following Oliveira and Renan Lodi, whose relationship with Simeone at Atletico has never fully blossomed. So it seems like the Lodi stuff seems to be coming a little bit more to fruition. We talked about it in previous weeks, basically about Lodi being a name, but we didn't know how willing Atletico Madrid would be to sell him. Now it seems more and more likely that they might be open to letting him go, but then you also have the name of Alex Grimaldo and Oliveira we talked about, and then of course we talked about Cambiasso before. So the names are starting to matriculate their way in here. Who becomes the go-to target that Juve really set their sights on? Is it going to be Cambiasso here in Serie A, or are they going to maybe move for a different name? But it seems more and more likely as the days progress that Alexandro will be seeing his career at Juventus come to an end very shortly. And then finally, the last story of the day we have is regarding Moise Kean and his situation at Juventus. Corriere dello Sport's reporting saying that Juve is ready to reevaluate the future of Moise Kean. The striker has so far performed below expectations, and Cherubini is looking for a way out of the option to buy. So as it stands right now, one thing we know is obviously PSG, who just got their bleep handed to them by Real Madrid, and it was beautiful. I loved every second of it. Obviously, you know how I feel about PSG if you've been on the channel for a while. I love that their oil money people have been out here buying everybody up, buying Messi, having Mbappe, buying Donnarumma, and just to watch it crumble and just fall apart, having Neymar, all that stuff, just completely fall apart has been beautiful to watch. And I love to see teams like this who there's no excuse. no excuses for a team like PSG not to run rampant through even the Champions League and win the Champions League, and they can't get it done. And that's why it really speaks a lot for chemistry. That's not what we're here to talk about, though. I don't know why I went on that tangent. What we're here to talk about is Moise Kean and his future as it stands right now. That seems to be an option, though, as PSG do have shown interest in Moise Kean and potentially bringing him back there to play. He did seem to play pretty well, and while he was at PSG playing as a winger there, seems he has struggled since coming back to Juventus, and he struggled at Everton. Seems that may be an open option that Everton may decide to maybe let Juventus out of their option to buy and try to sell him toward PSG. And then maybe that'll open up some options for Juve to spend some more money elsewhere. Maybe another potential striker attacker, like a fourth tier one. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, guys, that's the news I have for you today regarding all things Juventus. Obviously, the big story of the day is the Chelsea one. The situation going on there with Giorginio potentially coming to Juventus. How will that plan out? We'll see how once the air and the smoke clears from the situation, obviously the international situation that has really affected that club. And then also the Dybala stuff. We'll see what happens with Dybala. Let me know your thoughts on all the topics we talked about today in the comments section down below. If you haven't already, hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, hit that bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest video. Make sure you follow Bianconeri Zone at Bianconeri Zone on Twitter and Instagram. Follow me at Justin Sofro if you feel so inclined. I'll see you guys next time. Forza Juve. Forza Bianconeri.